Buckeye fans, you know what time it is. It's hate week.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Buckeyes for the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is Monday, November 20th in the year 2023, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. During today's episode, we will discuss what Ryan Day must do for Ohio State to beat Michigan Saturday afternoon, and Holtman's boys were hooping last night. But first, it's hate week. Touched on it at the postcast after Ohio State's win over Minnesota. But now, we got a lot more time to talk about one game. All attention is going towards and being put into the Buckeyes battle with the Wolverines Saturday, 12 noon Eastern in Ann Arbor. 11-0 versus 11-0. We have no idea where the committee will rank the two teams, but my gut says Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Michigan 3, and 4 could easily be Washington. Not sure if Florida State will hold the number 4 spot, but I could easily see Washington going on the road, beating Oregon State, primetime, hostile environment. Even the conditions weren't the best. I could easily see the committee putting Washington at 4, which to me makes a whole lot of sense. A lot of sense. But we're going to wait and see what the committee says. But regardless of what the records are, but they are undefeated, regardless of where they fall in the poll, none of that stuff matters. You come to Ohio State to win this game. That's it. Now, the thought is you're going to have a good team, one of the best teams in the country, have a shot to beat Michigan, have a chance to win the Big Ten Conference Championship game, and a chance to win the Natty. That's the thought. But ain't no game bigger than this coming up on Saturday afternoon. There's no game on the schedule. Notre Dame was big week 4. This game's bigger. Penn State coming to the shoe. This game's bigger. Oregon, one year they came in week 2. This game's bigger. Every single year, this game's bigger. Let's go back to 2020. What was one of the annoying things about that year? The Buckeyes and the Wolverines didn't play. Yes, there were other games that were canceled in abnormal ways and abnormal timing. I remember I was driving to work one night, and I looked at my phone, and I literally had to pull over due to the news. And I said, I need to pull over and look at this really quickly. Didn't want to text and drive. And if you text and drive, I would advise you to not do that. It's not a good thing to do. And so I pulled over and looked at my phone really quickly, got the news, and I was like, wait, this game's being canceled. And I don't believe it was a Buckeyes and Wolverines game that was being canceled at that time. I think it was a different one. But still, games are being canceled due to the COVID and positive tests. We remember all those things that happened that year. But the annoying thing that we remember, the Buckeyes and the Wolverines didn't play that year. Didn't play at all. And in this year, what do you have? Ohio State has a new starting quarterback. Michigan has the same one that played last year. Wolverines got Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. Trevion Henderson is back and he's healthy, and that should be a battle between the running backs on both teams that we should keep our eyes on. What do you have? Ryan Day on one sideline. You will not have Jim Harbaugh, so that's another storyline. What do you have? Marvin Harrison Jr. is trying to do what's needed to win the Heisman. What do you have on the other side? You got a couple good corners at Michigan that are going to try to make things hard for Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka and Julian Fleming and the others. What do you have on one side in Michigan? A really good defense. The interior of their D-line is really good. What do you have on Ohio State's O-line? An offensive line that's gotten better over the past 4 to 5 games. However, You also got an offensive line that is going to battle and need to play their best game that they've ever played together as a unit this coming Saturday. They match up very well. It's crazy to think about it. We'll dive into it all week long. But one thing we know is this: as abnormal as it was in 2020 to not have the game, it's been abnormal to lose that game 2 years in a row. The Buckeyes, that run that they had, Jim Tressel, yeah, they lost a fickle year, and then Urban comes in, and then the beginning of Ryan Day. 2019, things were great. You and I probably believe, if you're a Buckeye fan watching this or listening to this, you probably believe, like me, that Ohio State would have won in 2020, and then maybe 2021 would have been a different story than what we have this year. The Wolverines cheated. And I believe that they said that went back to 2021, at least as what the documentation is for the Wolverines is they have record and they have information and data to confirm, it goes back as far as it started. We know it was going on in 2021, 2022, 2023. Do you know if it went further than that? I don't know if the data says that, but they're going to dig to try to find that. What else do you have? Storylines in this game. Year 2 under Jim Knowles has been a lot better than year 1, but year 2, you're playing with guys on defense that are going to be future pros. Multiple guys are going to be drafted on the D-line, at linebacker, and in the secondary. What do you have on the other side? Another storyline. Michigan's getting investigated for cheating. They fired the guy that was orchestrating the scheme, the sign-stealing scandal, a sign-stealing scheme that he put together that was a phenomenal thought and idea that he executed very well, even down to the point that he was able to get on the other sideline. But also, Michigan recently fired their linebackers coach. And that happened, I believe, on Friday. Now, people are wondering, why would they do that? What's going on, the timing? The thought is, the linebackers coach didn't have an involvement in the sign stealing, but was trying to cover up evidence. And when that came out, got to get up out of here. Michigan said, you get the boot and don't come back at all. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more, no more. I'm going to stop myself right there. There's so many storylines here. None of those matter on Saturday. What matters? You don't like that team, and you do everything you can to prepare your team to win the game, and you do what's needed to win. That's it. That's the only thing that matters. These Buckeye players don't want to leave this game on Saturday afternoon with a loss. Think about this. There are numerous Buckeyes where their last regular season game, last game ever against Michigan, will be on Saturday. Cade Stover, Xavier Johnson. I want to say, I know for sure Tristan Gebbia. There was another guy who has no more years of eligibility left. Forget who it is. Imagine going into that game and leaving it with an L, saying, hey, my last chance to beat Michigan, we didn't do it. Last 3 times we played against Michigan, didn't win. You don't want that narrative. You don't want that thought in your head. You don't want any of that to be with you as you walk out of the Woody for the last time at the end of your Buckeye career and saying, hey, yeah, we may have won this. We may have won that. I may have won this award. I may have broke this record. Didn't beat Michigan this year. This game, it's what you come to Ohio State for. You come to Ohio State to play in this game. And for Ryan Day, he knows. He knows. All year, this is the one day that matters the most. You got to go out there and beat Michigan. Now, do you think it's going to happen? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. You'll get my prediction later in the week. If it is going to happen, Ryan Day must do some specific things so the Buckeyes win the contest. What must Ryan Day do for Ohio State to win this game this weekend? We'll discuss that next on Locked On Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by Listening.com. College students, listen up. There's this incredible app called Listening.com, which can take any academic paper, PDF, or class material and turn it into an audiobook. It can read math equations, technical words, and complicated documents. It knows to skip all the citations, footnotes, and references and lets you jump straight to the chapter or section you want to listen to. It even has a one-click note-taking button where where it automatically puts the last 10 seconds into a notepad, so you don't have to type notes while you listen. Best of all, if you use the link listening.com/lockedon, you'll be able to get your first 3 weeks for free. So go ahead and give it a try. Usually it's 2 weeks free, but you get an extra free week when you go to listening.com/lockedon. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. So all eyes are going to be on Ryan Day Saturday afternoon. Mine are, yours are, even leading up into this weekend. I know it's Thanksgiving week. I know the schedule will be altered. Practice schedule will be altered. Don't matter. Still got to win. And we're all looking at and focusing on Ryan Day, the head football coach at The Ohio State University, to realize and figure out, hey, what are you going to do? You lost 2 in a row. Did some good things in those years. Passing numbers may have been okay at times, but when it came down to crunch time in the fourth quarter, who made more plays? The Wolverines made more plays than the Buckeyes in both of those contests, and that's why they won the game. A big reason why. So when it comes to this game this weekend, my eyes are on Ryan Day, but Ryan Day has shown us the ability to do something this year that people like myself didn't think he was going to do. It was adjust his philosophy, adjust to the players, adjust to, we know he's going to adjust and he has to, but adjusting in a way with, did you ever think Ryan Day would be comfortable winning in the ways that he was winning this year consistently? I mean, yes, you did. Hey, winning by defense, yes, you would say yes, Ryan Day is comfortable winning by defense. Ryan Day is comfortable altering the offense based off the personnel and all of those things. Yes, we have seen Ryan Day do things personnel-wise when players graduate versus when they first come in, to try to alter the playbook to fit their skill set the best. We have seen that. But Ryan Day has shown us a whole lot of growth this year, and not really trying to force things like some say he's going to. And even myself and Jeff Hunt, who is scheduled to be on the show later this week, we have both voiced frustration at times with the Buckeyes and Ryan Day with the offense, and seeing a lot of the air raid and just throwing the ball up because you can, not because you need to, just because you can, and seeing Stroud and Jigba and Olave and Wilson and Harrison Jr. and Ibuka and Stover. You get the gist. There's a lot of the ball being thrown around. A lot of time watching the ball go in the air from the quarterback to this receiver or that receiver. And Ryan Day has showed us, even over the past few weeks, there are times Ryan Day is going to run the ball more than pass the ball, than throw the ball at this point in the season. Now, the weather may help you dictate that, but the weather as of late has not been horrible. No, we did get snow on Halloween, but that was a Tuesday, at least where I am currently in the Midwestern portion of the country. We got snow on the Halloween, but that wasn't really that big of, okay, it's snow, it's the Midwest. It's going to happen possibly in October. It's not the end of the world. It's also a Tuesday. It definitely warmed up later in the week. But Ryan Day has to continue to adjust. Ryan Day must be able to feel out the game and realize, hey, we're going to be able to do some things here. We're not going to be able to do some things that we have done previously that we had success with. So how does Ryan Day go about that? Literally, it's sometimes game film, sometimes having your scouts throughout the week look at something different when you're busy, so they come back to you with a report saying, hey, we know how to combat this look. Remember the Ryan Day that we got against Georgia? And even in that game against Georgia, what happened? Later in the game, Georgia made the plays it needed to make to win the game. Ultimately, I'm really going to go that far with that because there was a missed field goal at the end of the game. So maybe they did, maybe they did, not really sure. But hey, they made the plays. There was a missed kick. It was a long kick. We all remember what happened. But Ryan Day in that game was coaching like a man on a mission. And he knew, hey, if we get this look from Georgia, we have this in our tool bag. If we pull it out at the right time and throw it at the right velocity, hey, we're going to be A-okay. That's exactly what happened. And Ryan Day was fired up and yeah. And I'm like, man, you never this fired up. We never see this from you. Now the players probably do in practice, but on game day on Saturday, Ryan Day didn't show that emotion. And this year, what have we seen this year from Ryan Day? A lot of emotion. Now he's still keeping his head level, keeping his head intact, and not going overboard with some things. But that Ryan Day, and everyone was saying, hey, if this is the day you get in the future, you're A-okay. You're perfectly fine with this version of Ryan Day moving forward, which was a thought, a very good thought. And I think we're getting that version of Ryan Day more in a even level, moving forward, because he knows that level of emotion in the playoff, that's great. Need to bring that level of emotion against Michigan and then some. So when it comes to Ryan Day, he needs to be able to adjust and have the right feel for the game. Also, make sure you guys are healthy. Now, I understand Mike Hall didn't play this past Saturday. He's expected to play this week. Eichenberg could have played this past Saturday, which means he is going to play this upcoming week. Like I say is, Mike Hall is expected to play. Eichenberg will play. Unless he has a setback or an injury during practice this week, he will play. Abuka dinged up a little bit. I think he'll be fine. McCord dinged up at the end of the first half. Came back and didn't miss a beat until he got taken from the game in the second half. Keep your guys healthy. Because if there's one thing we know about this team, Kyle McCord can do some good things. Really good things with the football. We don't know what to expect if Devin Brown's out there or Tristan Gebbia. And my goodness, if you have to go with Lincoln Kienholz, a true freshman quarterback, I know he's talented. I know he was a multi-sport athlete, multi-sport all-stater in high school. But, man, that's a big ask of a true freshman coming in to play in this game. First time getting extended playing time in college football. Ryan Day must adjust. Ryan Day must have the right feel for the game. Ryan Day must do what Ryan Day has done during big moments this season. And Ryan Day must tap into that version of Ryan Day we got last year. I want to say it was in the Peach Bowl against Georgia. If we get that version of Ryan Day in a few days, and if Ryan Day is pushing all the right buttons for his players, I think the Buckeyes will be fine. The Buckeyes are going to need Ryan Day to coach the game of his life on Saturday to win. I understand Jim Harbaugh will not be on the sidelines. That doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. What does matter is this. You got a guy in Ryan Day that doesn't want the mark on his resume that he lost 3 games in a row to Michigan. You don't want that as a head coach. Not at all. Because unlike a quarterback who's only on the field for a part of the time, even though people say a win-loss record is a quarterback stat, which there are some things that don't make that true, what you do know is this. If you lose this game over and over and over at Ohio State, you will get fired. I mean, that's that. I'm not saying Ryan Day is going to get fired if he loses on Saturday. However, there's ways for that to not happen. Ryan Day must adjust. Ryan Day must coach the game of his life. And the Buckeyes will need Ryan Day to coach like he did against Georgia last year in the Peach Bowl for the Buckeyes to have a chance to beat the Wolverines on Saturday afternoon. On Sunday evening, afternoon into the evening, just a day ago, Chris Holtman's, the basketball team that he led, those boys were hooping. They were having fun. They were looking good. And the Buckeye basketball team beat the Western Michigan Broncos 73-56 on the Big Ten Network. We'll dive into what I love from last night's game next on Locked On Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Once again, visit FanDuel.com/LOCKEDON and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen or first watch of every single day. Last night, the game tipped off at 4 o'clock. I got over around 5:52 in the evening. Excuse me. We were witnessing and watching a basketball team, a Buckeye basketball team that's hitting on all cylinders, at least last night. They got Alabama coming up. I think they got a game possibly against Oregon coming up as well. I think they have a game against Minnesota, an early Big Ten game at the beginning to the middle of December. A couple more non-conference games. I want to say they have a game against North Carolina in the CBS Sports Classic. Then you get the Big Ten slate January through the beginning of March, heading into the NC2A tournament. But last night, I think what I witnessed and watched from that game was something that I think the Buckeyes can build upon, and if they tap into everybody's potential and players like Jamison Battle and Evan Mahaffey and Del Bonner get their feet under them and get acclimated to this Buckeye basketball team, I think this team has a chance and realistic shot to not only make the NC2A tournament, but to get to the Sweet 16 round in play in the second weekend. Because I've been watching Buckeye basketball, covering it since the 2020-2021 season, and this might be the most potentially, not saying it's too early. You know how I am. I don't want to make like, oh, this is the most balanced team Chris Holtman's ever had at Ohio State. Brody, they only played, 4 games? They're 3-1 right now. We ain't seeing enough ball to make that type of statement. But this team has the potential to be the most balanced team Ohio State has had since I've been covering the team, since the 2020-2021 college basketball season. And I say that because in your starting lineup and off the bench, you got Felix Okpara, 6'11", gained about 28 pounds in the offseason. You got Zed Key, who didn't gain that weight, though he dropped about 20 himself, at least 15. He looks a whole lot trimmer than he did a year ago. Last year, Zed Key started. Now he's coming off the bench, and he's fitting into and playing his role very well. What do you have? Bruce Thornton in a lead guard, who is the kind of lead guard you need to make a deep tournament run. Big Ten Conference, and also the NC2A tournament. Bruce Thornton is that guy. What do you have? Chris Holtman tapped into the transfer portal. I'm getting to Roddy Gale Jr. here in a second. Evan Mahaffey and Jamison Battle. Jamison Battle from Minnesota. I forget where Mahaffey transferred from, but what I do know is this. As the Buckeyes play more basketball, and Jamison Battle, as Chris Holtman said in the post-game presser with Robbie Hummel, as he gets more comfortable and more confident in playing with the Buckeye brand of basketball and with this team, you have guys that can hit you on the outside as far as good on-ball defenders in Bruce Thornton. You got a good lead guard in Thornton as well. You got Roddy Gale Jr., who might be playing himself into being a future first-round NBA pick. I'm not saying it's going to happen. But if he keeps playing like this, he could definitely be a second-round pick. Because, at the end of this season, defensively, he's there, but offensively, he's put the work in. He's in better shape. He's more physically fit for this brand of basketball. But also, Roddy Gale Jr., he's confident in his abilities, and his abilities have gotten better since his freshman year. Freshman year, just trying to figure out your role, man. Figure out how to play college basketball. Once you figure out how to play this brand of basketball, what do? See, make your mark on the game, on the court every time you're out there, slashing, cutting, fast breaks, transition buckets, transition D, hitting the three. This young man it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. If what we see right now is just a small sample of what Roddy Gell might do in the future. The Buckeyes had 5 players in double figures, the points for in last night's game. 13 points for Roddy Gell. He had 13 points, 8 rebounds. Bruce Dorton had 12 points and 5 assists. Felix Okpara did not have double digits in points. He had 6 points, but 11 rebounds and 4 blocks. That rebounds is key because heading into the game, I think he was only averaging 3 rebounds. You think he's 6'11". Yes, but guys are just getting into him, and his effort and energy was not there when it needed to be. He was doing a whole lot better there last night. Jamison Battle, a transfer, had 13 points. Del Bonner, the Baylor transfer, had 11 points. And then Zedke off the bench had 11 points of his own. Thinking about by the numbers, and this might be one of the things when it comes to last night's game that could be a sign of things to come. Now, I know it's only one game because Ohio State normally doesn't shoot that well from 3 over the past couple of years. Just like they're shooting threes, but they're not good at shooting threes. Why do you continue to do something that you're not that good at? This year's team could be a whole lot different. Shot 40% from downtown last night, 10 for 25. Western Michigan only hit 7. They were 7 for 26. Some things to keep in mind. Ohio State won the rebound battle +2. They only had 8 turnovers. And if they just keep doing this and playing this brand of basketball, I understand Western Michigan is not the same, but it's also interesting to see how the Buckeyes play when they're playing a team that plays man-to-man defense. For most of the beginning of the season, the Buckeyes have played teams that are running a zone, either a 2-3 zone or a 3-2 zone. Talk about Merrimack, where they did a 3-2 to a 4-out 1 in, back to a 3-2, occasionally a 2-3. Oh, late in the shot clock, let's go to a matchup. Man, it's a little bit tricky to do that. But then if you get a team that's a man that plays you in man-to-man, and you can push the pace, which Chris Holtmann wants to do, and this team can clearly do that, this might be a team. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. If you missed last night's game, don't worry. There's more time for you to watch this Buckeye basketball team over the next week. A week from this coming Friday. I forgot it's Monday. This coming Friday, the Buckeyes have a game, I believe, against Alabama, 7 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. And then on Saturday, and I want to say it's a 4 p.m. tip-off. Many of you might not watch that game because it's right after Ohio State plays Michigan. And depending on the outcome, you may want to watch that Buckeye basketball game, or you may want to not watch anything Ohio State related at the conclusion of the game between the Buckeyes and the Wolverines. But if you do want to watch them on Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern, that's the time of the tip-off as of right now on CBS Sports Network. If that changes, we will note that here on the show. Out of here on a Monday. A lot more good stuff coming your way this week as far as what certain players, Kyle McCord, Harrison Jr., Henderson, the O-line, the D-line, Eichenberg, Proctor, and others, what they need to do for Ohio State to beat the Wolverines Saturday afternoon in the Big House. You can follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at jstevens07. You can send all of your emails to jstevens317@gmail.com. Now is a great time for you to check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast. Just like Locked On Buckeyes, they're both a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The Locked On Sports Today podcast, it's your place to get the sports news you want in 20 minutes every single day. Oh, did I mention that Locked On started a new channel, the first ever National Sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube? Oh, did I not? Well, Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever National Sports 24/7 streaming channel. This has been Locked On Buckeyes here on a Monday. I'll see you next time.